I'm Jonathan Gerwitz, Vice President of KGB Texas Communications, and welcome to this edition of thePoint. Today, we're visiting with Pedro Martinez, the Superintendent of San Antonio Independent School District. Pedro, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Jonathan.
This is a busy time of year. It's back to school, and it's not just any school year. You've got some unique challenges that educators are dealing with. Tell us about the reopening plan for SAISD. What kinds of concerns you're hearing from teachers and from parents and students?
Sure, Jonathan. So we know right now there's a lot of anxiety in our community, and I think it's really important for us to acknowledge it. There's a lot of fear for good reasons. We have partnered with Metro Health, and Metro Health has adopted a system, and the health criteria they're using is the percentage of positive tests coming back from COVID testing, the number of days that it takes to double COVID cases, as well as whether we're in an upward trend or we're plateauing or we're in a downward trend. And based on those three criteria, we have colors. So in the red, which where we are right now as a community, we would start virtually for all of our students. So all of our children will be on remote learning plans. We see that happening for the first 3 weeks of the school year. The goal is to go next to the yellow. In the yellow, positivity testing has declined. Right now we're at 14%. We're hoping to go down to 10%. Doubling time for cases right now is over 18 days. We wanted to stay there. So the longer it takes, the more days, the better. And then the metric we're really watching is, are we plateauing? Are we seeing any higher increase in COVID cases? And is that plateauing staying steady for 14 days or more? If we hit those three metrics, Jonathan, we'll be in the yellow. And then we would start bringing in children up to 25% in person. And the way we're going to do it is our teachers and principals will be empowered to work with our parents. And for example, they might notice that a child is struggling. And so we might ask a parent to give us, with their permission, to bring in a child 1 day a week, maybe two days a week, but it will be in small numbers. There'll be no more than 4 to 6 children per classroom. That allows us to ensure that our safety procedures are in place, that we can, parents know what we're going to require of the children. And in order for us to do this safely, we need our parents' support. I can't enforce children wearing masks all day, washing their hands on a regular basis, if parents don't support me. And so we need parents to understand those procedures. So that's in the yellow. In the green, we can bring in children up to 50%. But here's what's key, Jonathan. In order for us to hit the green zone, positivity testing has to go down to 5%. We have not seen that since May. So that's a big metric to hit. We have to see doubling time continue to stay for many days. So right now we're over 18, it has to stay over 18 days. And then the third one, we have to see not just a plateauing, but a downward trend in cases for 14 days or more. Again, we haven't seen that since May. Then we have another color, which is the blue. And now the blue, that's our own color. And that color, Jonathan, I see, what I tell parents is that I don't see that happening in the first semester. That's when there's a breakthrough. So now you have a breakthrough. It'll be Metro Health that will let us know, hey, there's a breakthrough, there's a vaccine, it's being distributed, it's working. They will give us that guidance, and that's when we can come over 50%, working up to 100%. But our plan is to be very gradual, and our work right now is over the next 3 weeks. Our first day of school is August 17th, but because all of our children will be virtual, it gives all of our staff the time to make sure all the buildings are ready. 40% of my teachers are volunteering to come in person and work from their classrooms starting next week. Those teachers will be our safety committee. So we have teachers in every single school building, and they're the ones that are going to tell me, look, superintendent, these procedures, they're nice on paper, they're not going to be operational. We can't implement that with a 4-year-old. We can't implement that with a 16-year-old. And Jonathan, I'm not going to have children come in or more staff come in unless our teachers give us the thumbs up that procedures are working well, that the PPE equipment, that it's all in place. The other thing I would say, Jonathan, is any family member, any parent who wants to keep their child remote, all, the first grading period, all semester, all year, they will have that ability to do that. We've invested a lot of resources in ensuring that we have good technology, devices for children. We implemented a new learning management system called Canvas, which is what the college students use. It's very powerful. Our teachers are being trained as we speak. And so for us, we want to make sure we have a high quality program so that families don't feel like they're sacrificing their academics by staying remote.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Is virtual learning, remote learning is going to be an important part of the educational system for the foreseeable future. So what worries you about virtual education? The pandemic really exposed in San Antonio some of the inequalities, the digital divide. So what worries you about having to prolong this period of virtual learning?
We did surveys over the spring break, and parents gave us a very high mark on our remote learning plans and our social and emotional learning plans for our students. Teachers felt very good about the training they got. They felt they were prepared. But even with that, I also know that we had many children that were struggling. Some children excelled. Some children did very, very well. And so we know that remote learning doesn't work for everyone. We also know, Jonathan, that we have many of our parents that are frontline workers. And so for so many of our families, it was a struggle because they had to go to work. And many times, you know, they were struggling for childcare. So that's what worries me, Jonathan, is that as much as I feel like we did a good job in supporting our families during the spring break with remote learning, and now we're going to do it again to start the school year, it doesn't work for every child. The inequities definitely got exacerbated with COVID. It's interesting. We distributed 42,000 devices. Our enrollment is just under 49,000. And we had to distribute thousands of hotspots. We're right now working with the city on a real cool project where, I don't know if people know this, but our traffic lights actually have Wi-Fi in them. And so we're with federal dollars that the city has gotten in San Antonio, we are actually leveraging those dollars and tying that equipment to our network. We just implemented what we call the dark fiber. So we are our own AT&T. We basically have our own internet service now for all of our school buildings, unlimited. We just finished that project and it's in every square inch mile of our district. We're one of the few districts in the country that has it. Through this partnership with the city and these traffic lights, believe it or not, we're finding a way of how to share this technology. So for me, it's very exciting because it's an opportunity to close the digital divide. And which has been in existence here in San Antonio for decades.
What's the timeline for the implementation of that program through the traffic lights?
So we are, Jonathan, within the first 9 weeks of our grading period, we see some of our most difficult, some of our neighborhoods that have been the most economically affected, being the first ones that will be up and running. So we're hopeful that by the month of September, our children will be able to access very high speeds.
That's great. You were appointed to the city and the county COVID-19 economic transition team. You were also recently added to the Carnegie Corporation of New York's 2020 list of great immigrants for your leadership in education and economic development, among other things. What's the role? Tell us about your work with the COVID-19 economic transition.
Sure, Jonathan. So, you know, what was great about that task force, it was created even before Metro Health had developed criteria. And what I loved was I got to sit with owners of restaurants, managers of hotel chains. And it was fascinating to me just to kind of hear what they were going through, because this was right during the spring break. And it was very similar to what schools were going through, because we were forced to close down our schools. And the conversation we had was, what criteria do we need to develop to ensure that we build confidence in the community? So what I love that is all of that work has informed our school districts here in the city around proper procedures, safety equipment. And what I love, like I said, the city and the county really took a leadership role to ensure that they were helping small businesses in our community.
At SAISD, you've increased student achievement through community engagement and expanded access to rigorous academic programs. Tell us about your vision for SAISD as a national model for urban school districts.
Jonathan, I'm very proud of the work we've done. 5 years ago, unfortunately, we were an F district, and it was just, frankly, it was sad because just the inequities, the issues of poverty had really dominated our school district. What I love is that in 2019, when the last year we had full testing, we had went up to a B. What I also love was the commissioner came and announced results out of one of my schools and said San Antonio ISD has had the highest achievement gains of any large district in the state of Texas. And so the momentum has been so strong. And so one of the biggest challenges for me is just making sure we keep that momentum. Our vision is that we don't want to stop here. We want to be an A district, especially right now during COVID. We want to make sure that our children don't give up their dreams. So our vision is that we continue these gains, We continue to support our teachers. We continue to engage our families.
As part of your reform agenda, you partnered with charter schools to keep schools open in the district and to expand the opportunities, to expand the choices that you were just talking about. What kinds of results are you seeing from those partnerships?
You know what's been great, Jonathan, is I give credit to our state, Texas. They have what they call in-district charters that allow us to partner with charter networks, nonprofits, universities, and just bring in a lot of innovation. So we have almost 25% of our schools that have those partnerships. And so what these partnerships have done with us is both with traditional charter operators, with universities and nonprofits. It helps us bring the best of all worlds. And so that's Jonathan, that's the commitment that both my board and our district have, is that we always will provide families choices, because at the end of the day, whether my children want to be in technology, in healthcare, all of those areas are important trades in our community. And for us, we just want to make sure children have those pathways, because if we can motivate children, that's what's going to make them successful.
Pedro, thank you for making time to visit with us. And thank you for what you do, not only for the students in San Antonio Independent School District, but for everything that you're doing for our community.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you for having me. And please stay safe. Please, for all of our families, continue to practice social distancing. We're on a path to really defeat this virus, but we got to do it together. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for joining us on The Point.